I cried or if I laughed. I just remember I want my money back. I can't remember if it sucked or if I had a blast. All I know is at the end of the show, when the credits rolled, it said Filmtopiacast 3000.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Filmtopiacast 3000. I'm your host, Greg McIver, and with me is my co-host,
Nicky Boom Boom.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about, hey, guess what, movies that we've seen. Nick, you saw something just this past week that you were super excited about.
I did see something I was excited about. It was a dead squirrel in the road.
Yeah.
And
how was that?
it was gross, man. It was really gross.
Really?
It was so gross that I got excited about it.
They have like a good like through line
I mean, it was hard to tell what was what anymore. There was a through line of a tire track going through its torso. But, you know, nature got into it, and it was really just a lot of fur and smelly bits.
Sounds like a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, no, that's...
Speaking of fur and smelly bits, I saw The Hobbit.
Yay!
Finally saw The Hobbit.
Finally saw The Hobbit. Well, you're doing better than I am.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet. What'd you think of that?
Well, you can wait for...
Okay.
You can wait for DVD in my estimation. I know a lot of my friends will not like me saying that, would not like to hear that.
Yeah.
But, and you know what, like, I'm not saying it was a bad movie, because it wasn't.
Right.
All of the, the visual buffet you would expect out of Mr. Peter Jackson and this universe and his handling of this universe, it's all there.
Okay, yeah.
It's all great. Here's my problem. It really was just a case of my worst fears about what they're doing with the Hobbit movies being realized.
Right.
Which is that they're padding them out a lot with additional material. Some of it is taken from Tolkien's other writings, and some of it is not. Clearly not. I say clearly. I'm not a big Tolkien buff. I'm not a big Tolkien scholar.
Okay.
I do have access to Wikipedia. And I do smell BS in a movie when I see it, or padding. I'm an anime fan, and they love to pad out some episodes with more screaming or alternate storylines.
We're going to the bee country.
Yeah, Naruto suddenly visits the bee country with 3 characters that have nothing to do with him. Anyway, I can smell filler, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And there were some things in the movie where I'm like, and I've read The Hobbit. You know, most importantly, I've read The Hobbit, and I know what should be adapted into it.
Right.
And there was so much additional stuff, and I had to go online and be like, was this even from Tolkien's additional writing? And some of it is, and some of it isn't. My point is that if you are looking for a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies, this is your movie. Like, that's what it is. It's a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies.
It's not even really its own standalone
story. If you're looking for an adaptation of The Hobbit, go back and watch that creepy 70s cartoon with the folk music.
The Rankin and Bass one. Yeah. Okay. Which I've still yet to see. I do need to get on that as well.
But just as an example, so do you care if I spoilerize
Go
one or two things for you?
ahead. I don't give a crap.
All right. So the movie opens up, and it's just a tonal thing too in what makes it a good adaptation or not. The Hobbit is essentially a children's book that, you know, it gets exciting and it gets dark and it gets scary here and there, because we've established already in an earlier episode, you want to scare the crap out of your kids a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all wonderful. But it's not like the Lord of the Rings tone from the movies of like epic warfare, big battles, fire the cannon, hold the line.
That wasn't just Nick doing that. That was actually a soundtrack from the Lord of the Rings movies.
Hold the line!
Exactly, you know, like they never ever say in the movie. But no, I know exactly what you're saying.
But that's how The Hobbit opens. It opens with dwarves fighting a big war against the goblins. Yeah.
Oh.
And they include this whole backstory thing where Thorin Oakenshield.
Yeah.
They tell how he became Thorin Oakenshield, which I don't believe they ever say in The Hobbit.
No.
He's fighting a big war, and he loses his shield, and he actually grabs a piece of a tree and uses it as a shield in his big... Yeah. It's actually kind of cool.
Okay.
But then, so he critically injures the Goblin King.
Okay, yeah.
Which I went and researched. That never happens in the... That's not from Tolkien.
Okay.
The war is, but Thorin having a big rivalry with this Goblin King character named Azog is not at all. And they make it a big thing in this movie, where like Azog keeps popping up and hunting down the dwarves.
Yeah.
And their party. And they have this big epic battle with Thorin and Azog towards the end of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is...
No.
So there's that. They pop over and check out Radagast for a while.
Yeah, Radagast the Brown.
Yeah, I was okay with that. He was like a fun little addition to the movie.
Yeah.
He seemed like what the Hobbit should have been, because he was like a fun how do you want to say? He was like a naturalist wizard. He was like Gandalf living in the woods, playing with the animals and like...
Yeah, he's a hippie wizard.
Yeah, he was a hippie wizard.
And he can turn into animals, right? I think that was his thing.
Maybe he didn't do that in this movie, but maybe he will.
Okay.
They're making this 9 hours, so
I'm sure
maybe in the remaining 6 hours he'll turn into an animal.
Okay, fair enough.
He goes and messes with the necromancer a bit, which is alluded to in The Hobbit. It's mentioned a few times that Radagast and the two blue wizards are going to confront the necromancer.
Gotcha.
So there's that. Oh, this is the most important thing for me. It's called The Hobbit. It should be called The Gandalf, because I know Ian McKellen's a bigger star than Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Let's not split any hairs on that account.
Of course.
But part of the cool thing about Gandalf in The Hobbit, and he even says this in Lord of the Rings, he's like,
if you're referring to the incident with the dragon, I was barely involved.
Right, because Gandalf is supposed to just pop in at the most opportune moment in The Hobbit, and he just kind of saves the day and is like, alright, dwarves, stay out of trouble. I got other things to do. And then he'll pop in again and be like, boy, you dwarves can't keep out of trouble.
Right.
You know? He's on the screen the whole time in this. He's always on the screen.
So he just... annoying at that point, like...
Well, and it's also annoying because it kills his mystique, because they have this whole other scene. And you know what? I know Christopher Lee got to get paid, son. I know Catherine... forgive me. What is Gladriel's name?
Now you're making me forget.
No.
Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett. I'm sorry, Kate Blanchett. You're lovely.
You're very, very lovely.
And I know you got to get paid too, Kate Blanchett, but you guys didn't belong in the movie. You're blowing up Gandalf's spot, ruining all his mystery.
Christopher Lee. I belong in Tolkien. I even got permission from Tolkien.
You maybe get a pass, Christopher Lee. But I'm saying, there was a scene where, like, the other magical powers that be, confront Gandalf about what he's doing with the dwarves and the dragon.
Yeah.
And, like, basically just sit there and lecture him about, like, you sure what you're doing is wise? And it's just unnecessary.
Well, these are characters we recognize from the Lord of the Rings, and it's
Lord
of the Rings again. It's fantastic. Well, I mean, again, what you're talking about is it's a lot like what I was afraid of too. And again, it's just two completely different stories. Lord of the Rings was, an epic battle to save Middle Earth from this fearsome force, And in The Hobbit, I mean, it's all summed up, the thing that, friggin' Bilbo screams out. You see it in all of the trailers. He's like, what are you doing, Bilbo? I'm going on an adventure! That's the story of The Hobbit. I'm going on an adventure! Kind of very generalized, It's like, anything could happen because it's just going to be a fun little story, Not like the dire need of Lord of the Rings, And again, from what you're saying, it sounds like they're trying to mash that all together.
They're trying to mash it together. And you know what? When Bilber's... Bilber.
This is the redneck version.
When Bilber's on screen...
On The Hobbit with Bilber Baggins. Okay.
When Bilbo is on screen, it does kind of, for the most part, retain that tone. And most of the scenes that are true to the original novel and that include Bilbo as the main character.
Right.
You feel that way, and it's cool. but there's just so much padding, and there's some really heavy-handed, not well done callbacks.
Okay.
Or call forwards in this case. Callbacks to
Remember when? Oh wait, that didn't happen yet.
Yeah, like they really, really play up Gollum's like split personality.
Okay.
To kind of an annoying degree, but more distressing to me than that is the way that Bilbo puts the ring on for the first time.
Yeah.
Is the same exact way that Frodo puts the ring on for the first time,
really?
where it's like he's holding it and then it flies in the air and he falls on his back and reaches his hand up. They did that.
Peter Jackson's Lucasing.
Yeah, he is Lucasing.
Oh.
That's what disturbs me.
Oh God, no. That's awful.
So, I know I'm ranting and raving and complaining a lot, belly aching.
Well, you have to understand. They have to let me do the split personality stuff because I'm early in this portion of the story.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see me for the other two. Well,
listen, Gollum, the way things are going, I don't know about that.
I'll be in the other two?
I don't know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Talk to your agent, Gollum.
Yes.
You're right with the way it's going. Gollum will show up at the end of the third movie and somehow save the day in advance.
He'll have Sting in one hand and Glamdring in the other hand and be riding on Shadowfax.
You didn't think I was capable of such feats.
Oh, God, you're right. That could happen. Well, yeah, I remember seeing a picture in a magazine well before The Hobbit came out. And again, it was sort of confirmed the fears that you are already confirming. It's a picture of Gandalf with all the dwarfs and what behind him, and he's on this bridge. And I guess that's the Goblin King that he's facing down or something like that.
Yeah, they had a little "you will not pass" moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's on a tiny bridge, so not like the big epic bridge from Lord of the Rings. I can't talk now either. So he's on a tiny little bridge, and he's facing down this thing, but it's nowhere near as intimidating looking as the Balrog by any stretch. And if I recall from the picture, he's a big fat goblin. And I'm just like, okay, so they're totally trying to have a "you shall not pass" moment, but this is so much smaller and less interesting, and why would you even try and do it if you couldn't make it?
They kind of played it for yucks.
Oh, really?
That movement gets played for yucks.
Does it work?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really like the design of the Goblin King.
All right. Okay, cool.
He has this weird, it looks like a beard, but it's just his jowls. He has this weird scrotum jowl.
Oh.
It's really disgusting looking and kind of cool.
Okay.
What else I like about this a lot? The songs are really handled very well.
It's a musical?
No, but I mean, The Hobbit has songs in it.
Yeah,
in the book.
You're right. You're right.
And I think it's always a touchy thing because we don't. And the 70s cartoon is a musical because of it.
Yeah.
This is not a musical, but there's points where people sing.
Okay.
But they integrate it in a good way. Which you do see a bit in the trailer where the dwarves are kind of having a little fireside.
Yeah. That's fine.
Even the Down Down to Goblin Town song was handled in a good way.
Really?
Yeah. There's a Down Down to Goblin Town song.
Down Down to Goblin Town. Oh my God.
It's great.
Really not excited about this movie. Not that I was to begin with, but I just don't know. We went from epic fight to save Middle Earth to Down Down to Goblin Town. Yeah, just
well,
I'm sure it doesn't sound
nobody's
like that.
blown into a jug or playing a washboard. No, none of that.
None of that? Oh, okay. Well, that would have been funny.
And it really makes me sad that Guillermo del Toro was not on this project.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah.
Because he would have just made it he would have made it its own animal.
Yeah. I think so too.
That's what it kind of needed to be.
But Mr. Jackson had obligations to present a product, and again, it's not like we're coming off of 3 bad movies that he did, and it's they're trying to do it.
No.
He came off 3 really good movies. I don't know. It's just the way the business is, I guess, and
yeah.
I'll still see it. And again, from what you're saying, it's not entirely awful,
No, it's not awful. It's just a waste because it could have been done better in my estimation.
All right.
Which I know it's easy for a critic to sit here and say, but it's
yeah.
It's a prequel. It's a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies. I can't say it any clearer than that.
Oh well.
and I won't even front. I might see the others in the theater anyway, if for no other reason, because I want to see Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug.
Oh, fuck
That's
yeah.
going to be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, that voice of his is going to work great with the dragon. I mean, we don't get to see any of Smaug.
You see glimpses of Smaug at the beginning of the movie, because you see kind of how he takes over the mountain and kicks the dwarves out.
Gotcha. Get out, dwarves. All right, well, we'll be
Well, he
back.
doesn't say anything to him. He just,
He just breathes
kills them
fire.
with fire. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. It sounds like what a dragon might do.
No.
All right, so The Hobbit, lukewarm.
Lukewarm.
All right, lukewarm. Well, I'll check it out at some point. Again, it'll probably be on DVD at this point because I ain't rushing out to.
Well, it's almost out of theaters anyway. I saw it pretty late just because this is what I suspected. So.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll check it out and I'll let you lovely viewers know like months from now if I like it or not. But speaking of, you know what? I was gonna do a really lame segue into my topic, which I was.
What was it going to be?
I was gonna say something like,
say the lame
well,
segue.
there's like a silver lining to what we're talking about here. And that is that I saw...
Don't do that segue.
Yeah.
That's bad segue.
Well, I messed up anyway because I forgot to do the whole introduction, and I was going to say, speaking of silver linings, at which point there would have been a pause.
Oh, here I've got it.
Nobody mentioned silver
So,
linings.
You remember in The Hobbit, one cool thing they did is where they need to read the moon runes, which you can only read by the light of the silvery moon.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaking of silver,
last
week I saw Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, you don't say!
I know, it's amazing. The movie's not amazing. The movie's good.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Linings Playbook was a very good movie. Wasn't a great movie. I don't foresee this winning Best Picture.
Although it is up for it.
It is up for it, yes. And again, it's a fine film. The story is about a gentleman played by Bradley Cooper who has got a mental deficiency, going on with him. He's troubled, and he gets out of a psychiatric hospital, and he goes home to live with his parents. And he's got a wife, but they're separated, but he still kind of is just, fanatically devoted to getting back with her. And he meets the Jennifer Lawrence character along the way, who's also, slightly disturbed, troubled as well. And they sort of, interact with each other, and they, I guess they begin to help each other or something like that. The movie was good. It could have been better, though, I think, just because, again, what I was really interested about the movie is, okay, it's a romantic comedy, but they're taking this whole mental health aspect seriously, like they're not doing it tongue-in-cheek or anything like that. It's not meant to be cute. It's meant to be serious. I thought that was going to be really interesting. I thought they were going to go deep with that and see how these two troubled characters were really going to, coexist or even, have a relationship together. And they kind of keep it a bit more on the periphery than I expected. Like, it's addressed kind of, and they do have to go through some things, but I guess my problem was by the end of the movie, though, it just seemed like it was not an issue anymore. I mean, Cooper's character almost seems friggin' well cured by the end of the movie, and I didn't know mental health problems worked that way. You do a big dance number, and then I'm fine. But
all better.
Yeah, I thought they could have gone a little further with it. Just a little bit. I'm not saying, to devote the whole movie to it, because then you wouldn't have had the movie that you had, but they could have gone a little further. And even with the Robert De Niro's character, who plays Bradley Cooper's dad, like, you find that he is actually suffering from a mental affliction as well. And they mention it, and you see it really clearly throughout the whole movie, but again, it's never really brought up as, like, a point of, like, let's address the elephant in the room, It's mentioned once sort of offhand, and it's never brought up again. So, it was a good movie. It was a good little fairy tale, is what it was. Really well done fairy tale, but I didn't go in expecting a fairy tale. I was expecting,
What do you mean a fairy tale?
Well, again, at the end, the guy and the girl, they find each other, and his problems seem to magically have gone away, and she seems pretty fine herself. I mean, I'm not saying the movie says specifically, and all their problems were solved. I'm just saying it ended a little too well, a little too perfectly, you know, to the point where you might as well assume that, because it's just those issues and things are just not really addressed afterwards. You know, again, they have the big dance number, and then it's your usual Hollywood fairy tale type ending. Guy runs after them. In movies like this, there's always got to be a scene where somebody's running after somebody else. So it makes for a really great trailer. You know, you always have to have that moment because it really shows the character is serious about something.
There's some
So
urgency.
you gotta see him running. You know, I want to see a movie. Come on, I want to see a trailer for a movie come out, or in the trailer it does have that scene with the character running and it's all poignant and emotional. But then when the movie is released, I want to see that scene was actually him trying to make it to the bathroom on time. I really want Hollywood to one-up us with something like that. I think that would be absolutely hysterical, and I would fully support that. But in the end, you know, not great movie, good movie, all around. You know, great performances. I'll say that Bradley Cooper, you know, knocks it out of the park in my opinion. As does Miss Jennifer Lawrence. I thought.
J-Law.
Is that what we're calling her now?
I don't know. Somebody called her that on the internet, and I
to?
thought it sounded like something I should say.
Do I have to call her J-Law?
I think it is J-Law that you need to call her J-Law.
Well, I want to call her J-Law.
In the time when J-Law is law, only people that say Jennifer Lawrence will be outlaws.
Well, I am a rebel, my friend. So Jennifer Lawrence did good. She did very good, and deserves all the accolades she's getting. I haven't seen all the other movies that the other women are nominated for, but she definitely deserves recognition for this role. And Robert De Niro is great in this too. You know, Mr. De Niro back in the saddle, doing some, some real acting here. You know, not that he wasn't acting in the other movies that he's been in, but
it's been a while since he kind of has been on the scoreboard though.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, with the Meet the Parents sequels and then that friggin' what he had, like the little thing in the New Year movie, the Happy New Year, or whatever the hell that was called.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that.
I mean, I never saw the movie. I just remember the trailer ended with him, looking in the camera and was like, "And Happy New Year," and I'm like, "What are you doing in this movie? God damn it!"
De Niro gotta get paid.
De Niro does in fact have to get paid. Well, we've talked about this before. I believe that he does these movies. He's a working actor, so it is his job to be in movies.
Yeah.
I also like to think though that he's using some of that money to fund the Tribeca Film Festival here in New York, which is fantastic. If that's what a lot of that money is going to, you keep racking up the Meet the Parents movies. It gives filmmakers a chance to display their work to audiences here in NYC. So keep doing what you're doing, Bobby. Always been a big fan. But yeah, Silver Linings Playbook all around, good movie. Not great, could have been better. Doing a little De Niro thing here, I don't sound anything like him.
You insulted him a little bit.
Yeah.
Insulted him a little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. So yeah, moving on. Silver Linings Playbook, good movie. Go see it. Definitely worth seeing. All right, so let's talk about the big news that was just released.
Yeah.
In regards to a series of films called Star Wars. They just announced who the director of Star Wars Episode, what is it, 7?
It's going to be 7.
Episode 7. And it is going to be none other than Mr. JJ Abrams.
Who is currently at the helm of the rebooted Star
Trek
franchise. And it's kind of a big deal that the same man is...
Yeah, he's doing both. That's like the North and the South all over again. No, I think it's I personally think it's a fine choice. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I'm saying he's a good choice because I really like what he did with Star Trek, and I think he can apply those same talents to Star Wars. What's your take on that?
Well, my initial reaction is, well, it had to be somebody, and if it had to be somebody, then that's not a bad person for it to be. That's certainly not.
Not at all.
You can't say he doesn't know how to put together an action sequence.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't say that he doesn't know about pacing and character development. He's very good and competent show handler, director, maker of entertainment. I think that this movie's gonna be in good hands with him.
I think so too, and yeah, I think if he can kind of keep control of it, because he has occasionally dabbled in stories and things where the story will get a little out of hand, like For My Money, Super 8 was like that. Super 8 started off as a great movie, and then it ended as sort of an okay movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think he directed that, though. I think he was merely producing. I don't know if that was actually
Really?
directed by him. Let me look it up. But anywho, that, and then some people would also, point out, well, what about Lost? That was his,
Well, no, because he helped create Lost, but he wasn't the showrunner on Lost.
Right, yeah.
That was Damon Lindelof, who I also blame for Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
He's somebody that lets some stories get away from him. He'll take you down a rabbit hole and be like, all right, well,
have fun down there,
Yeah.
sucker! And then he'll run away and you'll never see him again.
Yep.
Oh, he did direct it. Okay,
Yeah, because I remember there was some big fallout where, or not fallout, really. The kids on the movie played a prank on him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was keeping everything about the movie super secret. And the, well, I'll just say it. The fat kid in the movie.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's what he is.
He was on, I think Conan, and he was telling about an April Fool's prank they played on JJ where they all got together and they're like, let's prank him, let's do something funny.
Nice.
And he went up to him and he's like, JJ, I left my script at the airport or something like that. and JJ Abrams like flipped out, and not like on him, didn't get like mean with him or anything, but
You stupid little
but like really thought that had happened and was really like absorbing it, and then the kid like felt really bad and was like, just kidding, April Fools.
Wow. And then he really did jump on the kid.
Yeah. And then he beat him to death, and they had to
Beat
recast
him to death, and then they recast him with another portly young man.
Yes.
So, so he did direct Super 8, and he wrote it. Again, Super 8.
Super 8 is it's unique.
It's unique. It's a wonderful homage to the old Spielberg movies of the day. Again, in my opinion, it starts out as a really great movie, and then it just sort of it just lost me by the end of it. Not because I was confused, just because I thought what they were doing was a little stupid by the end of it.
Well, and like the alien is not the cuddly like.
No, he's not E.T. for God's sakes. I was wondering. This is what really drew me to the movie. Is I was wondering how are they going to reconcile these two very different things? How are you going to have this wonderful, awe-inspiring Amblin Entertainment, Spielberg-esque type movie like E.T. or Close Encounters? How are they going to reconcile that with the other half, which appears to be a friggin' monster on the loose, killing people?
Right.
And
it's all
ripping
well
shit
and good,
apart.
because you do learn that like there's a reason he's like that. In that,
Yeah,
he was tortured and experimented on.
It's
for
not a very.
years. But it doesn't change the fact that he's now on the loose and on a killing rampage.
Yeah, and he's killing people. And again, this is a creature that was able to build a machine that went through space and time in order to get to this planet. And we're supposed to believe that he just. I mean, again, months of torture and whatnot. I don't know how I would react if I got out after that, but I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that this enlightened being was a killing machine for a good portion of it, and by the end, we're supposed to be like, it's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay. He's done.
Yeah, well, and they have this whole like final scene where, well, here maybe I shouldn't be spoilerizing, but that's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while. If you haven't seen it, it's your own fault. Because the kid's a model builder,
Mm.
and then at one point the alien is building another version of his spaceship, and the kid looks up with wide eyes and smiles. He's like, he's building a model.
Yeah.
It's like, no, kid, that's not the same thing as you were doing.
Right.
He's building a working spaceship that he's going to fly now.
Well, and I'm also like, there's this whole like wonder and majesty of the ship coming together and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit like, well, hey, don't let that guy leave. Like,
no, absolutely
it's
not.
terrible that we tortured him and all these things, but like, if he gets out of here, he might bring back his friends.
Yeah,
and kill us all.
exactly. And it's like, you know what those people are like down there? Oh, I can't do that to my buddy. Come on, get Zarlak and Schneegbaum, and let's go down and...
Zarlak and Schneegbaum.
Yes?
The Adventures of Zarlak and Schneegbaum.
Do you have a problem with Zarlak and Schneegbaum?
No, they're
You better not,
my
because
favorite characters from Super 8.
they could be listening right now, and they'll come down and they'll wreak bloody vengeance upon all of us.
Okay, well, That's a good point. I hadn't considered that.
Just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
And
But yeah, good point.
The thing with the Star Wars Episode 7, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people were, I'm sure a lot of people were approached.
Yeah.
A lot of people were rumored on the internets. I know that much for sure.
Yeah,
and a lot of people, I think JJ Abrams, even among them initially, was like, no, I can't do that. That's too much pressure. I'll ruin my good name if it goes wrong.
Yeah, it's like, it's too much pressure. Don't want to touch it. I'll be the first in line to see it.
Yeah.
But, it's Star Wars, it's we've seen what can happen if it goes wrong,
Right.
Unfortunately.
But I guess that's what I mean when I say it had to be somebody, because, like...
Well, yeah. I mean,
unless
I
you
wasn't
get,
going to do it,
right. Unless you get a complete unknown, or, somebody stepping up to the plate here.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just going to not be directed.
Yeah. So no, I do think it's in good hands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lens flare jokes going on
I
now.
know. Just putting it out there. Yes, there are a lot of lens flares in the Star Trek movie. Now, to be fair, it's only when they're on the Enterprise that you get a lot of those lens flares, It's not like, they're on Earth and there's lens flares everywhere, or they're on the alien planet and there's lens flares. It's just on the Enterprise, and it creates an interesting look.
But since this news is broke, people are photoshopping some very funny images of the just the text scrolling up with a bunch of lens flares on it.
It's very funny.
Or lens flares like all over a lightsaber duel.
It's very funny. I laugh at them too. But again, if Mr. Abrams is able to do for Star Wars what he did for Star Trek, I think we're in very good hands, because again, I like the new Star Trek movie. I think Abrams did a really good job of, paying homage to the ones that came before it, to those characters, but still telling a new story that was able to, encourage a new generation of people to, look into Star Trek. And at least the way I understood the movie is the other movies, that timeline is still untouched, because everything that happened in this movie was an alternate timeline.
Right.
So people can still go back and enjoy those movies. So he didn't ruin Star Trek, by just like, let's just start over and forget none of that ever happened. No, all that happened, This is now happening.
Now, he won't have that safety net here. This is Episode 7.
Exactly.
This is going to be canon.
But I think we're in good hands as well, because, again, he's a huge Star Wars fan.
Right.
He really apparently knows a lot about Star Wars, which might have helped Lucas when he made those prequels, if he had actually been a fan of Star Wars or known about the other movies.
So he's going to be respectful to these characters that he grew up with.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to treat them like kid gloves. Especially, again, it's the new Star Wars movie. We already saw what happened, when things go bad. You don't want that on him. No, absolutely not. He's going to do the absolute best job he can, Not that he wouldn't, even if the prequels didn't suck. But anyway, JJ Abrams, you get my seal of approval.
Yeah, no, it's a good choice.
Yeah, very
Makes
good
sense.
choice. Very good choice. So before we head on out, do you want to? You said we talked earlier. You said you saw some trailers that you mentioned for some upcoming movies that you wanted to mention. 2 of which looked like exactly the same movie.
Yeah, when I went to see The Hobbit, one of these trailers I had seen already, which was Oblivion, which stars Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
In Earth after, I think, some alien annihilation took place.
Some sort of apocalypse of some sort.
And he's him and some foxy redhead are left to like clean up the place.
Clean up and fix the cleanup robots, I guess.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman plays Morpheus.
Morgan Freeman plays Morpheus wearing really silly goggles, smoking a cigar. I actually started laughing when he lights the match, and he's just got the cigar sticking out of his mouth. He's got the goggles. He just kind of has like a look on his face, and I'm like, Morgan Freeman, you look silly. But yeah, playing Morpheus essentially.
And there's more to the story than Tom Cruise knew.
And if he wants to know more, he'll have to delve in and swallow the red pill. Anyway, it could be a good movie.
Yeah, and it's So somebody, his name is Jack in the trailer. They say that, and somebody in the theater was just like, Jack. He's playing Jack in every movie. He's Jack Reacher in this movie. He's Jack in that movie. So anyway, there was and what did you or one of your friends had a funny comparison for this,
This
right?
is something I had read online somewhere. I wish I remember where so I could give them credit for saying this, but the movie looks a little bit like a live-action Wall-E because, it's after Earth,
Yeah.
the planet's a mess, he's sort of left behind to basically fix the machines that are in charge of cleaning it up and cleaning up himself, It would be worth the price of admission alone for Cruz to look at the screen and go, Wally, at one point. Or Katie, because that was his wife's name.
Well, they're divorced now.
That's why I said was.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, moving on.
So yeah, I saw that trailer for Oblivion, and then right directly after that, I saw
the same trailer.
Yes, I saw the trailer for After Earth, which is Will Smith and his son.
Yeah.
And it's
on a savage planet.
Horrible, awful planet that they get stranded on, and then I didn't know this till you told me.
Yeah,
but
at the end of
it's a Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, at the end of the trailer, Smith ends his little narration by saying, "This is the most dangerous place ever because, son, this planet is called Earth." What a twist! Basically the trailer itself was a Shyamalan twist, and
right.
As you were saying, well, hopefully he got that out of his system for the trailer, and the movie can actually concentrate on, telling a good story as opposed to, what's it building up to?
Right.
What cute little thing does he got? Hopefully it's not plants again.
Hopefully it's not what?
Hopefully it's not plants again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
So rather than having Morgan Freeman as Morpheus, we have like dinosaurs and things.
Dinosaurs and things, yes.
But it still is like, okay, one trailer after another about like savage, desolate Earth after some big horrible event,
Well,
and a big movie star in like some streamlined.
Almost exactly the same outfit.
Yeah, I think that's what really struck me the most. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Cruise should have had a little doppelganger, following him around to make it complete. Yeah, I've seen the trailer for both of those. I'm reserving judgment until I see them. There's potential for both of them to be, I guess, decent. I don't know.
Those aren't. I don't know what it is about either or both of those, but those just kind of aren't the movies I get excited about. Like, I would probably go to see that if somebody wanted to go see that with me.
Yeah,
but I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not rushing out to see that,
No, I'm not. I'm not counting down the minutes either. Again, I'll reserve judgment until I see them. I think they look like they potentially could be decent. I mean, neither one of them. It's certainly no Spring Breakers.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the movie to beat, ladies and gentlemen, this year. Spring Breakers. I know we mentioned it in our last episode.
Spring Break forever.
Spring Break forever, bitches. But yeah, that's the movie to beat.
And Iron Man 3.
And Iron Man 3, yes, Iron Man 3 coming out pretty soon, too. We've mentioned that in a couple of episodes. We're really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of announcements, Marvel announced recently in regards to their Phase 3.
Yeah, that's right.
They'll be leading the charge with the Ant-Man movie, directed by Mr. Edgar Wright.
It's really happening.
It is really, in fact, happening. So I guess that means we're probably not going to get Ant-Man in the Avengers 2, or if maybe he'll pop up as like a cameo.
Maybe Hank Pym will be in the Avengers 2, and then we'll get Ant-Man.
Well,
that could be.
That's very true. That's very true. And they've also said for Phase 3 they want to do a Doctor Strange movie as well.
Which I don't know why I didn't see that coming, but that's exciting news to me.
Yeah.
I like Doctor Strange.
The what is he known as, the Sorcerer Supreme or something like that?
He's the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, yeah.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Don't know much about Doctor Strange. I saw an animated movie that's available on Netflix.
That's Marvel's worst animated movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was kind of lame, and I mentioned it to you guys. They're like, "Oh, you guys seen that Doctor Strange?" You're like, "Sucked." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm not alone."
They're very hit or miss on their animated features.
Yeah, even the Iron Man one was.
Iron Man one was terrible too.
Yeah,
but they've had some really good ones. I really like the first Avengers one. Second one, not so much.
with the Black Panther, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, not either of the cartoon series that have happened, which are both. Well, one of them I can vouch for as being excellent.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the movies that they came out with way back.
Which are basically the ultimate universe is what they're doing with those. So yeah, they did the two animated movies that dealt mainly with the ultimate universe and with Thor basically as a hippie and nobody believes that he's a god and such. Yeah, I was kind of lukewarm on those, but
Or the next Avengers one is really good. And
I don't know if I saw that one.
that's
but...
the one with the kids. The
kids. Yeah, I enjoyed what I saw of that. That was fun. I liked the you and I both really liked the series that they did, the animated series, the Avengers. That was really good.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers. Check it out. Both seasons are available on Netflix. It was really fun, and they managed to like take huge story arcs from the comics and really fit them into just a couple of 20-minute long episodes. But they did it in a way where it was still entertaining. And I mean, you know the comics more than I do, but I guess still accurate, or at the very least,
handled really well. At least like it was a good adaptation in that like they got the essence and the basic facts about that storyline, and the same with all of the characters.
Right.
Like they had an episode focusing on Wonder Man, and he's kind of a good guy and kind of a bad guy, and he's really dangerous, and that's kind of what Wonder Man is. It's like he kind of flip-flops around like that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of huge storylines like with Kang the Conqueror and such.
Their Kang was badass too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, I think the series succeeded in what it was probably trying to do. It was probably trying to get people interested in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of got me interested in the comic books. I'd like to go and read more about Kang the Conqueror, or Galactus and other such things, or Ultron even. Ultron seems like that's pretty much the Avengers' main villain, right?
Ultron and Kang are pretty much their two big bads, I think.
Okay, yeah.
What's sad about all of this
is we won't see them in an Avengers movie anytime soon.
Well, we'll see how things go.
Yeah,
keep going.
That's true. That's true.
What I was gonna say, and Mr. Baserap pointed this out.
Okay.
In I forget which one of his articles, but it's just that. So it's great that we have all of this comic book media now. We have shows, we have movies.
Yeah.
A lot more people are interested in superheroes and Marvel and DC's worlds,
Mm-hmm.
But comic book sales have like plummeted since
really?
In the past like 10, 20 years. Yeah. I don't have exact facts or figures. I'm not an exact facts or figures guy. But like for example, when X-Men #1 came out, I think it was in 1990.
Okay.
This isn't the Uncanny X-Men. This is when they made a second X-Men book, and they had Jim Lee, who's a great artist, on it.
Right.
With Chris Claremont. And I think it's still the highest selling comic book of all time.
Wow.
It was a big deal. They brought Magneto back as a villain, and he hadn't been a villain for a really long time. And
cool.
Just like really was a testament to how well comic books did in the 90s. Like in the 90s, it was like I personally was buying Wizard magazine to check up on the prices of my comic books and make sure that my investments were secured and everything.
Yes,
I had stuff that was like, well, no, this one needs to go in a special case, in a special wrapper, in a special place in my room, because this is going to be worth so much money someday.
Nice.
And then, 10 years later, if even that, you saw the prices of those books just plummet, because the collectible value of it seemed to, like, even the comic book store that I frequented, that was my local spot, it was called Investment Comics.
Oh, Jesus.
Because people really thought that, like, this was the thing that
this will
was
be my fortune one day.
And
not so much anymore, huh?
No, and it's sad. I'm a comic book fan. I was gonna say I can't tell you the last time I bought a single issue, but I can. It was right before Christmas that I bought Thunderbolts #1.
Yes. I had no idea what you're talking about.
Thunderbolts is Marvel's team of, traditionally it's been like Marvel's team of supervillains who are like reformed.
Okay.
Or like government sanctioned, kind of deputized. Like the government kind of steps in. It was Norman Osborn's team for a little while actually, where he was like.
Oh, the Dark Avengers?
It became that, but initially like it was Norman Osborn was commissioned by the government. They're like, you're kind of a crazy supervillain dude, but you're also a businessman, and we want to work with you. And
makes perfect sense.
Well, basically, like put together a team because you know how to how the minds of these people work. We want you to control this team, and he put together a team of supervillains that acted as superheroes.
Interesting.
And so they just did this whole Marvel Now initiative where they're rebooting a lot of their classic titles.
Right.
So they rebooted Thunderbolts, and now it's if you don't know General Thunderbolt Ross, you do know this because of the Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah.
General Thunderbolt Ross is now the Red Hulk.
Yes.
And he puts together a team, kind of deputizes a bunch of wild cards, and puts together this team. This is the team, right? It's the Punisher.
Interesting.
Red Hulk, of course. Deadpool.
Oh, nice.
Elektra, and the new Venom.
Wow.
That's a heavy lineup.
That's a really lineup.
Badass lineup.
Yeah.
One of my favorite webcomics is called Our Valued Customers, which is just a guy sitting in a comic book shop doing caricatures of people and writing down the hilarious things that they say, whether it's just something stupid they said or something clever that they said.
Right. And
somebody picked up Thunderbolts, and he's like, "Oh, Marvel finally broke down and made a whole team full of Wolverines."
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, but anyway.
Well, it's sad to hear about the state of comic books, but who knows? Things have a way of turning around. Maybe they're just on the verge of their next renaissance. It's always darkest before the dawn. Is what they say.
And if a lot of other people are like me, then they just want to buy the graphic novel that contains issues whatever through whatever.
Right.
So maybe it's an issue of the format needing to change. There's a lot of piracy out there too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And as much as I have engaged in some piracy.
My God, man, get away.
We need to support the industries and be conscientious too.
Of course, absolutely. So yeah, go out and buy comic books.
Go buy comic books.
Yeah, come on, do it.
Do it. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything else to talk about. You good?
I guess I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. Well, thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you good? Are you guys good?
Yeah, you good?
Good?
Huh?
We good?
All right. I think we're good. All right, yeah, in all seriousness, thank you for joining us once again. We will be back with another episode at some point. There we go. That's about as clear as I'm going to get. I'm your host, Greg McIver, and with me is my co-host,
Nikki Boom Boom.
We'll see you next time. Or you'll hear us next time. There is no seeing with this,
Just
is there?
Stop it.
I should press the stop button now? All right, here I go.
This has been a production of the Nerdtopiacast Internet Network. Be sure to check out more podcasts, videocasts, and articles at nerdtopiacast.com.